Hello, beautiful people. My name is Athol, and if you've been watching this channel, you know I'm sort of constantly bouncing backwards and forwards between calling this the dateable marriage or relationship momentum, both of which are really, really important concepts. And I guess today this episode is leaning a little more towards the dateable marriage concept. And what I'm talking about is what I will be talking about is something I've been kicking around as part of an introduction to a book, and will probably be a part of a video series or something like that. Because I'm really been struggling with, like, at what point is a relationship fixable and improvable, and you can actually make it better, and you can put the energy and effort in, and things will generally get better? Or where is that point of no return where the relationship is just slowly going to get worse and worse and worse, and one person can put in a crap ton of effort, but it's all like building sandcastles below the high tide mark. Because I've done this a number of times over the years, where I've tried to do some sort of heroic relationship save by giving advice and fine-tuning things and managing things and really putting in a ton of effort, and I've seen things improve and get better, and it looks good, and then you come back 6 months later, a year later, and it's all sort of crumbled back to baseline, and it's still objectively bad. So this is something I really struggle with, and I've really spent a lot of time thinking about. And I'm starting to lean more and more towards the idea of it all comes back to that question of, do you find your partner dateable? Do they find you dateable? Like, if they were meeting you for the first time today, would they want to go out on a date with you, knowing what the relationship history was, what you're like, all that sort of stuff? Because obviously it's not a fresh slate. They're not meeting you truly for the first time. It is, would they date you? Would they start this relationship? And there's really only three answers to that question. Would you date your partner if you met them today? And that's yes, I would. I would totally date them. I would totally try and restart all of this. The second answer is maybe. I don't know. There's some good things with the relationship, but I'm not particularly overly turned on. I wouldn't want to toss it. I don't know if I would start it. It's a maybe. And the third answer is no. Oh no, I just would not. If I could get rid of this whole relationship, and I was potentially going to meet my partner, today for a first date, I would pass. Or I might date them one time, but there would not be a second one because I just see red flags. So it's either a yes, it's a maybe, or a no. So when you have two people answering that question, you kind of get sort of 6 possible combinations of yes, maybe, and no. So the first one is the easiest one. It is both people say yes. And in those relationships, they're good. Both people are happy. They may have some life problems. They may have some things they're struggling with. But basically, the relationship is good. The people are content. They have some sort of sex life. They enjoy hanging out and being together. If the relationship was suddenly ended by magic wand, these two would start dating again and rebuild their whole relationship. And these are people who really don't seek relationship advice because they don't need it, because they're happy. And it's good. The second sort of combination is where one person says yes and the other person says maybe. And these relationships are still pretty good. And generally you have the person that says yes being a little frustrated because they're kind of having to orbit and chase and seek out the maybe person, and the maybe person tends to say, I want a little more space. I feel slightly smothered sometimes, but on balance it's kind of okay-ish. I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to start everything from scratch again because they're things I like, but I don't know if I would have started it all knowing what I know now. So obviously that yes maybe combination is a not as healthy a relationship as the double yes. Moving down the ladder of how serious things are is the maybe relationship. And ironically, these can actually feel a little stabler and a little more balanced than that yes maybe relationship, but it is a worse situation. Because, they can be kind of going through the motions. No one is abusing each other. There's money, there's food on the table, there's a house, people go to work, the kids are okay. is just feeling sort of flat and blah, but it's sort of okay-ish stable. You can have some great vacations together. The Christmas holidays was good where we hung out and did stuff. But on balance, it's just sort of okay-ish. It's a double maybe. Going down the ladder a little further to a more serious relationship is where you have a relationship where one person is saying yes and the other person is saying no. No, I would not start this over. No, I would not date this person. No, I would not want to create all of this. And when you reach this point, I think your relationship is in a world of trouble and is starting to be past that point of no return, because it is incredibly difficult to change someone from that no even to a maybe, and to a yes is even harder. Because very often when they've reached that place of, no, I would not do this. No, I would not date this person. When they're at that place, they've already started saying yes to something else. And whether that something else is intensity to a career, intensity of a commitment to some sort of cause, or some sort of connection to another person that they are saying yes to. Yes, I would be with that person. It's very hard to change the no for the relationship to a maybe or a yes when they're saying yes to something else. And ironically, that maybe relationship can downgrade to that yes-no relationship where the maybe person, one of the maybes suddenly realizes the other maybe person tuned to a no. And now the relationship is in real serious trouble. And now I'm really getting nothing that I want from this relationship. And they can start being activated and doubling down and being motivated finally to try and seek out their partner and to try and make things work, because now they're a yes. They were ambivalent before, saying maybe, but now there's a real threat to their relationship and family and finances and everything. Now they're like, oh my God, I have to fix this. And they become fixated, and their maybe status turns to a yes. And of course, you can just jump all the way to a yes-no relationship if someone is just marrying you through completely secondary motivations. But it's a sort of a slightly different topic. The fifth most serious situation is where it is a maybe and a no. And usually that's that downgrading from that yes-no relationship. The person that previously was yes has worked and tried and bashed their head against the wall to try and get the no person to pay attention to them. And if they're getting no progress, it's not going anywhere. It is harder and harder and harder. Eventually they just get tired and they start saying, I don't know if I would even want to try anymore. I'm now downgrading myself to a maybe. And of course, the sixth and final one is when both people say no. And those relationships are just hanging by a thread. They're probably going to divorce. No one wants to be there. No one's having a good time. No one's having fun. And they really could end at any time. And in fact, any of those bottom four statuses where one person is saying no could end at any time. Because they're done. They don't want it. They are saying yes to something else, whether that is career, a cause, or a person, doesn't really matter. They could call it quits at any point. So this is why I'm seeing it as just so important to fix your relationship before it gets really objectively bad. That maybe status is almost that point of no return. Because if it gets worse than that, it tends to be a very, very slippery slope to the bottom, where it's harder and harder and harder to fix. The trouble is, it just doesn't feel like a horrible situation. It doesn't feel bad. Like I said before, no one is abusing each other. Everyone could be completely friendly and polite and kind of agreeable and getting along. And the kids are okay and the house is okay and we go to work. It's just kind of blah. But that's when you really have to buckle down and fix it. Because if it goes much further than that, someone is starting to say no. And it is so hard to pull back a relationship where one person is just a full-on no. Because they don't want to work on it. They don't want to go to counseling. They don't want to read a book. They don't want to talk to anyone. They don't want to admit there's a problem. They don't want to have a conversation about it. And every time you try and work on things to pull their attention and pull them back, it can slowly drive them away because it's just someone they don't want to be in a relationship with, trying to pin them down and talk to them. It's often why the only thing that might work in that situation is where you completely start pulling away from them, do the whole 180 thing, do your own thing, and maybe that's what gets their attention, that something isn't right. But even that, I worry, is temporary, because you have to catch them while there's still some sort of maybe. Once they get to a no, it's so much harder. So this is something that I've been just sort of bouncing around in my head. Like I say, it'll probably be a part of a first chapter or something in a book, which I really got to get done. And I'll talk to you soon.